Hey, Mary. Holly, how are you? What's up, Joni? Cheers. Hey, everybody. God bless you all. Welcome to your nightly entertainment in the calving barn. Let me, I kind of want to get going. Yeah, 2 different social medias tonight. I'm a little exotic. How's the reception for you guys? Is it coming in clear? Nicole from Canada. Oh my gosh, you got me on the TV? Wow. Okay, I kind of want to get into the business. Jason is Jason the Butcher on TikTok. He doesn't have a YouTube, but Jason really saved my bacon. What we had to do is the fact that we're dealing in Mud City, and we're getting really close to calving. We'll go look at a couple old cows out of the herd tonight. We'll talk about them, and I'll kind of show you what I'm looking for, kind of why we went the way we did. This is a brainchild that Kent and I had this spring, like a year ago, and it's finally coming to life. Trying to think of other things that I should tell you. I think I can explain most of it on the fly, so. Let's see here. Oh, right there. Bam. Ooh. Talk that boy into doing a cookbook? He should. Actually, I was on the phone with him. That's why I'm running a touch late tonight. I was on the phone with him. And I think he might do some calving barn cameos. I have a couple special guests lined up throughout calving season for you guys. Like super special. People that like don't live by me. And damn, we almost had one last 2 nights ago with Clint Gilbert. Damn close. And I think 2 more beers and I could have got him in. Now, I can't really say that on TikTok, but yes. He wanted to just watch me be on live, but I told him no, we couldn't do that. Either he watches me on his phone, but if you're going to watch me in the studio audience, you have to participate. So, anyway, that's, we're working on some stuff. I want Jason here because he knows way more about the end goal of what these calves are going to do, what they're going to be. Because he puts them on the hook. Provides quality meat to people, and yeah. Jason and I have something very, 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 very big in the works that I can't wait to tell you guys more about. But anyway, just trying to make sure I'm good to go. Let me grab my headphones and let me know. I'll just hold my phone for the first little bit. Make sure that that you guys can hear okay. I'm going to put you in my headphones, so hopefully the wind isn't near as bad, okay? Is that fine? Give me just a second. I have them charging in my truck. Hold, please. All right, we're going to power up. Can you hear me? Can you hear me rubbing on my microphone? You're waiting on a tornado. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and tuck you guys in. That damn cat, it talks to people, and she'll go out and mill around. Hey, kitty. Hey, kitty, 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 kitty. That's fine. She'll follow me in later. Let's grab ourselves a road pop and go to it. Flip you around. You can see that the snow that we were dealing with yesterday has subsided. A little bit of storm socked in on the top, but we were supposed to get lake effect, so we're close enough to the Great Salt Lake in Utah that sometimes we get some lake effect off of that lake, and they were calling for it. They were calling for lots of rain, lots of snow today, but for some reason it never showed up, which I'm definitely not going to complain about. Here's your Idaho sunset for everybody. Damn, it's beautiful. Do I got you? Hello. Are you there? You got me now. Hey. Walked a ways away from the barn. Okay. Glad you guys are here. But it worked out good because one of the cows we're going to talk about is she walked right over here. "22. You remember 22? See, she's starting to build a little bit of a bag. She's very, very deceiving because her bag gets really big. I'm not going to put her in the barn. But and typically, rule of thumb is as soon as they start building one, they are going to they're going to be within 30 days of calving. So number 12, the same way. They both came from the same place. If you remember from last year, we put number 12 in the barn and she stayed there for like 3 weeks because she started building the bag. So kind of have some mixed forage for them. Have a straw bale just on top of an alfalfa bale. So that way, if they get a little hungry, they can pick away at the straw. But we have them nice and bedded here. So this is, yeah, you wish there was a solution to the mud. This is the best that we can come up with right here is this has a little bit of native ground and grass to it. This used to be the old driveway to the farm, but see how there's a lake right here? We got sick of driving it through the lake, so we made the driveway over there. But then we turned this into a pasture. So this is where the horses have been for the last month or two. We had some straw windbreaks. I just tipped the straw over, broke it, spread it around for all the cows. But let's kind of see what we were working with here. I'm looking for stuff that could calve tonight, but also stuff that kind of want to keep an eye on. Anything with an older Bushman tag, like see these, can I zoom on YouTube? Oh yeah. So see how these are hand etched, orange tags with black writing, and they have Bushman underneath them? That's Kent's last name. Those ones, they will pop and go. And as you can hear, very miserable set of ladies here. They've got babies. That's 208. There's 65. There's a bag. 250. Swish your tail once. Let me look at it. I'm going to say she's within the next week. She's going to come a touch early. All these girls in this pen are due April 1st. So, and like I've explained on some TikTok lives, what we've found is anything that's sired by an Angus bull will come a touch earlier than something that's sired by like a South Devon. South Devons, like Clifford, they'll leave them in the oven for a week or two longer. So these cows that are kind of starting to make up, she looks completely different than this cow. This cow has no udder whatsoever, but she's still got a belly. There's a baby there. She's just a lot further away than Miss 250 right here. Girls are wide. But good spot to lay. The reason why we picked this spot is eventually I'm going to build a house right there by that lone tree. But I got to be TikTok famous first or something. But even though we do have some wind coming out of this canyon just a little bit, this native brush, I mean, it's 7 foot tall. This is sagebrush. We will, they can use that for a little bit of a windbreak. We don't want them to destroy it. You can see they've already thrashed this stuff. But for the most part, we have really good access to a county road, which means I can check these in the truck. I can drive around and kind of see what's happening. So I'm going to tuck you guys in. We'll keep walking. We still have cows. This is about a third of the herd here. 2/3 are over on the other side. But really like what I see. Got some cows coming. 250. She's on my list. One of those that you got to keep an eye on every night until she has it. But what this area does, see how there's a high ground right out here? This high ground allows them to lay down out of the mud, and that's higher ground too. Even though we have a big swamp down here in the bottom, there's multiple places for them to get out of it, and they're not swimming. There's 12 again. I fed these girls just a touch heavy today, just because I wanted to relax. It's not that I starved them out, but I made sure they were hungry, so they came to the bait this morning. At least the 30 that we cut out. So that was all part of the plan. They got a little extra groceries to compensate for it. But if you look, this is the low ground. Do not want to have a calf in here. And one of the biggest reasons why we had to kind of switch approaches on the way we're doing things is I'm going to sink the tractor and the bale feeder in this. And so I'm going to have to move to a feeder scenario, which I don't like because, look, you get a big pile of mud. They just keep working it over. You never get a crust formed on it. They pee in it. It tends to get a little sloppier. But we just kind of try and combat that by moving the feeder around every couple days and keeping it away from the high ground. Creed told me to look for a 202. There's my little red cow that I got. She's one of my favorites. You'll learn more about her when she gets closer. I forgot to sort her off, but she is either Jack or Willie bred, looking more Willie bred to me. The reason why I would know that is because Jack had access for the first month, and then it was all Willie's show. And so where she isn't developing an udder yet tells me she's going to be at least 30 days out. And so that kind of has me thinking that it's going to be a Willie baby. $202. Kind of looking for things that don't look like the other here. Hiding behind this windbreak, I want to go take a look at. And then I got a cow over here in the corner that is no good. So yesterday, I was talking about cancer eye in a black bolly. This is a very young cow, and she's got cancer eye developing. She just started the last month or two getting it. But there's really nothing that we can do for that. And so it's a little disheartening. But this is probably going to be her last calf, just because she's got cancer. Let's roll over to here really quick. There's these handful of cows hiding behind this wood plank right here. Anything that's eating at a feeder right now, automatically discrediting. If they're good enough to eat, if they feel good enough to eat, then they're not going to go into labor for the most part. So if they have their head stuck in the feeder, pretty good chances they're not going into labor tonight, which I'll definitely take it. 79. No. No bag. No bag. Okay, we're good. Let's get some heifers in the barn, then we can BS for a while. This is all thank you to the 5 inches of rain that's melted in the last 10 hours. 5 inches of snow. All right. Where are the horses now? You can see them right out here. But everybody seems pretty happy. I fed the bulls just a little bit ago. We're good to go. All right. Did you guys like how I set it up last night, where you guys watched and listened, but you weren't? I had you set up here on the good Wi-Fi. Get you back on the Wi-Fi here. All right. You guys good? You on Starlink? I can't see the screen. All good. Okay. You kind of wish you could help me yell at them. That's not nice, especially when you got your own cows to yell at. All right. And also, one of the other good things about me being on your TV is this is brought to you in part by the unofficial official drink of the calving barn, Arnold Palmer. So I'm going to go through a pretty hard sort tonight. And what that means is I'm not going to stack the barn full like I had it. But if they're a heifer, they're gonna be in here, which is there's 3 that are getting close, maybe 4. But probably 111, 75, which is Ruby, and the red heifer with no ear tag. Number 4, Striper, I think that's the way we're going to go. It all could depend on what I find out here. But after they come in and I unveil them, you'll definitely hear my reasoning like I'm a collegiate livestock judge. How does that sound? In other news, I wish I could take you out there, but the cell phone service is going to be shit. The baby's doing fantastic. I was worried about him all night last night, and there's a part where you have to kind of trust your mothers. And I was like, he's got a good mom. She's going to do what she needs to do. It's still a touch warm, but the biggest thing that scared me was the wind started to drift a lot. We had some wind come through, or the snow started to drift. Sorry, snow was drifting with the wind, and I was nervous about the day old baby we had. But I'll be damned. When I was here this morning feeding, he sailed through last night like a charm, and he had another teat polished off, so he's gotten on 2 teats out of 4, which is good. And he was sound asleep, and Mom was waiting for the hay feeder. So it was great. Especially, I was a little bit nervous about, just his ability of being able to stay warm, just because he is early. I mean, it's not like he's a week early. He's 2.5. So, super, super good news that things are working out that way. Like I said, he looks fantastic. But I'm not going to band him. I just have that tag in his ear. We're not going to band him and work him until Kent gets here. I was going to do it today, but then I had to ask myself, do your kids really want to watch you get rolled over by a cow? She was a little motherly. So I'm going to go get some heifers. I'll show them to you. And I'm sure you'll hear me talk to them. I hope it's all good things, and I just have compliments tonight, but I highly doubt it. Hello, ladies. Who wants to go in? Okay. I might bring the whole gang in. It might be easier, and then just kick people out or kick cows out that I don't like. That might be. Come on, turn around. Shitheads. Go on. We should know the drill. Get in there. Come on. Hey. Ruby's on her way. You're going to see her here in about 3 seconds. She knows her way. And she knows she's got a spot in the barn. She's trained. Come on. Little Red, you too. Get up. Go on. Go on. Hey, girl. This no ear tag red one, her bag looks way better than last night. We're still not as loose as I'd like to see it, though. I don't think we're calving tonight. God damn it. I forgot to protect you. You guys are on your own in no man's land. Ruby, get you a spot. Go on. Thank you. Good girl. I'm going to protect you guys right now. I'm sorry. All right. I'm going to bring you a couple more. If I swear, I would say I'm sorry, but you already knew it was coming. Hey, shithead. You get in. Come on. Come on. Now's not the time to be an asshole. Come on. Hey. Okay, Bolly's going to lead. Come on. Hey. Get up. Hey. All right. Got everybody I want. I'm going to probably turn 1 or 2 of these back. We'll see. Come on, ladies. Get up in there. Come on. No fish bowling. I'll sort you both in a minute. Hey. Hey, 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 hey. Get up. This is Striper. I'm going to have to get Creed to not be so attached to cows. because last year we calved Sugar Plum. You'll meet her. She's out in the TV pen. She's not quite ready to come in yet. Just a nut job, man. What a weirdo. Did not like the barn. I think she eventually got around to it. She was all right, but just kind of was a crack addict. And Striper, she hasn't figured it out yet either. I'm gonna put her, this pen's right next to the goat pen. So if she doesn't like her neighbors, sorry, not sorry. You want to go in or go out? So I got 111. Get in. Go on. Go on. I told you guys that I was going to protect you, and I let you down. Quit being a shithead. Get in your pen. This one, please. I'm not going to ask nicely too many more times. Turn around. Let's go. Get in. Get in. Thank you. Appreciate your cooperation. So I'm going to put number 4 in this one. Right over here. I swear to God. All right, let's try this again. So the thing about these heifers is they don't know this is new. Especially this one, this number 4. She hasn't been in the barn ever. This is her first time. Like, she was not born in the barn. Striper, she was in the barn as a baby calf. And so was this red one. This red one was born in the barn. This red calf. Or red heifer, sorry. And so I think that they, or at least I'd like to think they have a little bit of a memory. And this number 4 is a ways out from calving. I'm thinking we're going to see her maybe, I mean, she's looking the part, but she's not anywhere near close. We're going to see her in April. She's one of the ones that we're going to start having bets on of if she's going to calve tonight. And but it's good for her. We're not going to put her in the barn every night until April 1st or what, until she's damn close to calving. But while everybody else is here, I want her in here. So she gets familiar with it. And typically I will never put a cow in the barn alone unless the only thing is if they have a calf. If they have a calf that's on the ground and delivered, but for some reason we need to keep the cow in the barn, the cow and the calf, then I will have them in the barn alone.
But a cow that has not calved that goes into the barn, I always try and put a friend in there with them. And it's just, I don't know, just comfort. They seem to be on a little better behavior. They're not trying to escape. Kind of relaxes them a little bit. And so, you know, she's lived with all of these cows all year long because they were in the same cow herd as far as, you know, they were in Willie's herd. And so all of these cows have spent the last 365 days together. And so, long story short, I want her to be in here with friends. I want this for them. I want it to feel like a block party. That everybody comes in here. It's a normal deal. It's part of regular routine. So, and I find that it saves on wrecks for me, right? If you put a cow in here that has never been in the barn and she's alone and she's nervous and freaking out, it's a train wreck. I've had it. I told this story on live a couple nights ago, but the time that me and Creed pulled our first calf together, that was that situation. Cow had never been in a barn in her whole entire life. I brought her in alone because we needed to pull a calf. And what did she do? She knocked down half the barn panels and escaped. So just kind of learned from experience and doing things the wrong way the first time. So you'll find that a lot of these cows, they'll buddy up, they'll have friends and relationships and that whole thing. Like I was talking about Sugar Plum, Creed's cow. She has, come on, you really need to stay in the barn. You get the pull-out couch, but I'm sorry. I'm not letting you sit because you could go, girlfriend. Just like that, we're good to go. I'm gonna take my coat off. Is that okay? And then I'll flip you guys around to where I can read comments and we can shoot the breeze for a minute. $122 people. I'll be damned. That's pretty good. Hey, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that utter debacle of herding heifers into the barn. But we survived. We all did it. So,
Special Red and Willie might officially give us a Red Bull we could name Francine. Absolutely. And very well could be a keeper bull. We won't ban that one. We'll let him see. So, no, I'm not. I don't think I'm zoomed in. I don't know how to zoom out. Oh, you want to see the young bulls if I have a second? We can go look. It's getting just a touch dark. We can go walk through them real quick. Oh, don't worry, Becky. It's only going to get worse. Because we're training heifers, but at the same time, we'll start putting some of them old wild ones in the barn, I think. Hopefully not. That's why we kind of pushed it back a little later, the calving season, that is. And yeah, it's what we're hoping to do. We want to let these cows be cows the most that we can be, but we definitely want to help out and be in a position to where if something bad's happening, we can spring into action and help and divert a disaster. That's why like pasture calving is great. It's amazing. That's how Kent's always done it his whole life, is you turn them out into a 100-acre piece and you just let them go and you drive around every night with a spotlight. But from our experience, we have the facilities built at this farm. And if you don't know, we moved here, I think this is 4 years. Yeah, it's 4 years. Gonna be this year. And this was just a dry farm. There was no farm, like, they just cut weed on it. That's it. And we've built all of these facilities, Kent and I. And the only thing is we had a contractor come through and help us put the buildings up. But the corrals and everything else was designed by Kent in his mind. And we built this from the ground up. The first time we calved in this barn, we pasture calved, and they stood this barn a week before we had our first calf. We had our first calf in the main herd, and later that day we set the barn up. So we didn't have the calving room until 2 years ago, I think, or maybe it was 3 years ago. I think it was 3 years ago. We didn't used to have a calving room. The calving warmer that I've done some videos on and stuff, that used to sit right here. So it's always a work in progress, and we're trying to figure it out. But I guess, long story long, we've built the facilities to where we want to be able to utilize them. And so pasture calving, not really a thing, because what happens if you have an absolute issue and you're by yourself checking cows at midnight and you need to get a cow into the barn? You know, there's no trees around here to really tie her to, and it's just a wreck. But if I had an issue in the main herd, me by myself, we've designed this so one man can handle it by himself. That's what we've had in mind this whole time when we've designed all of this, is it being a one-man show. So let me, I don't know if we got enough light to go see bulls, Cody. Did you find the old boy a heifer of his own yet? Who's the old boy? Creed or Kent? Let's go for a walk really quick. We can drink beer in the barn all night. Oh, Kent? I told him this red one's probably going to be close by the time he gets home. He gets home tomorrow night. So calving live will be a little earlier. It'll be about 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And I have Shane Gillis tickets in Salt Lake City. I did not plan that. Lindsay is my scheduler, and she forgets the calving season. So anyway, we're going to go see Shane Gillis tomorrow night. I'm going to tuck the cows in the barn early. Ken will swing by late tomorrow night to check them. And then he will let them out on Sunday morning for me. So I don't know if you're really going to be able to see what you want, Cody, but these are some of the heifers that or the second calvers you'll see in the barn. These are some of their calves from last year. Yeah, you're not going to see what you want. I don't have the light to do what I want, Cody. But long story short, they're very valuable to us. These are future bulls that we would use for breeding. They're bred. These particular bulls are bred very well for what they are. I mean, they're South Devon, so the sires aren't near as notable. But I think they definitely have potential, and they're kind of starting to look the part, especially that one that's looking broadside. So I can't really get an ear tag number on there for you, but yeah, they're just coming along. They're just a touch under a year old. So those are the ones you saw get calved in the barn this last year. But yeah, there's a handful of bulls that are growing, and the best part is, oh, gotta hold with my other hand. The best part is we're gonna have some more, and that's why we're putting cows in the barn. Is we don't want good calves getting born in a mud puddle and losing them. So we walked through the cows, the main herd. I was a little spotty on the cell service, but nothing I'm absolutely too concerned about tonight. I'm gonna flip out now. There's a herd of deer that's come out into this field. Papa J on TikTok, that's actually Papa J's field right there. But those are mule deer. We don't really have a whole lot of whitetail in this country. And what I'm really surprised is we don't see any elk. Ever since we had a really, really bad winter, that the elk did a number on our haystack, and they were a real issue. We had to kind of fight and grind through it, and then they kind of have played really good. They've minded their own business, and they've actually been a pleasure. But the last couple days, I think it was 4 days ago, they were out in that, there's a valley right over here, kind of where the new cow pen is. You can see it from there. All the elk, there's about 60 to 100 head of them. They were laying out in the middle of the day, laying in the middle of the field on the snow. And that was pretty cool to see. So they're definitely around, but they're staying out of the hay. As soon as I say that, they're gonna jailbreak and get me. I'm gonna plug you into a power source, and we're gonna BS for a minute. So let me grab my office chair and my brewski, and we'll go to it. Kind of a little bit soured out tonight. Not necessarily sour, but got invited to go to a really, really good, reputable bull sale, and I had to turn them down because I'm calving. One of the bad things about it is calving coincides with a lot of bull sales, because guys are starting to think about rebreeding. And can you please be quiet? Somebody's itching their butt. But so a lot of guys, they're trying to get their bulls sold, and it's a really good time to buy bulls. But also, if you have work at home, it's really not that good. It's hard to leave home. You see that black cow, she's itching her butt. Here in just a minute, she'll get settled in and lay down. But anyway, there's a really nice bull sale that's happening in Salmon, Idaho. I got a catalog, and really, really nice. There's some prospective Angus bulls that I'm looking for, that I'd love to pick up. Love to pick up semen-wise, or buy a really fancy son of. That they have some. And so I might have to watch online tomorrow. So, but anyway, the biggest thing about this is especially because I told you I was going to go a little more in depth of planning and why we did what we did. I want to give everybody the chance. These are some really good bred heifers that I bought last year. They've calved those heifers. Obviously, you just saw some of their bull calves. These are going to be kind of the foundations of our herd going forward. And so a lot of these are bred to Jack. Jack got turned into the whole herd Obviously, he got hurt. We rehabbed him, but it turns out that he bred a lot more than I was anticipating. We have a bunch of these second calvers that are going to be pretty close. They're due on the 25th, which looks like some of these are going to be right on time with Jack babies. And we are super, super excited. These are going to be purebred South Devons. And we're really, really excited. I went last night. I'll kind of go over it again a little bit tonight now that people can play it back. They have the opportunity to. But for us, a lot of guys in the West, the Hereford was a big thing in the Western states. It's the cow of the West. But people have moved away from the Hereford breed and they've went to Angus, which both of them are great cow breeds. Striper, right here, this heifer, that's a prime example when you cross a Hereford with an Angus. White face, black hide. So she's a typical what you'd call a black Bolly or an F1 cross. And so we still utilize that cross a little bit, but we're starting to cross with a South Devon instead of a Hereford. And what you get is all the qualities you like in a black Bolly or an F1 Hereford cross, but you get solid coloring. So the red one, this red heifer in the corner, prime example. Well, no, sorry, that one's a purebred. But you will see some examples of some F1 crosses when we get some more cows in the barn. Ryan asked a good question. How long do I keep heifers in the barn, especially when it's really muddy? If I feel like they're going to be close, they're going to be in the barn. Two different reasons for that. One, I want to create a positive experience for heifers. So that way, if something ever goes wrong, they're not afraid to come in here. Notice how this cow was a little bit gun shy in this red pen right here. This is a maternity pen, and this is where we pull all of our calves. I pulled her calf this last year. And so she was like, no, it ain't ready yet. I promise. That's why she was a little bit hesitant tonight. But overall, just want to create a good experience so they're not afraid of the barn. And just so if they're an older cow, we do have a problem, it's not another issue that we have to fight as far as getting them in here. But also we want to take away bad choices. And so if I feel like something's really close and they're in a corral that's filled full of mud, which we have right now, if they have a chance, they're coming in. So the older cows, not too worried about it. They're old. They should pick a good spot and take care of their calf. Not saying that that's what happens 100% of the time, but for the most part, our cows take they pick pretty good spots. That's one of the things that we don't directly cull from that, but it's a factor. So we like cows that pick. We try to keep around our best mothers, and if their calf is swimming in a mud puddle or floating in a mud puddle, and they don't have a calf on them, that's a strike in my book. Like I said, it still happens, and it's not saying that we abandon them and write the cow off, but we still try to do everything that we can. But typically, she goes in your mental notebook of, okay, she's not that good of a mother. I'm not going to give her a second chance type of a thing. So, I'm going to try to... Okay. Now I got it turned on where I can see the chat. Do I have any mean ones this year like Crazy Eyes? No. I do have wild ones, though, that came with Crazy Eyes. Number 20 is one of them. I'm trying to get it to keep it display in chat like TikTok. What are some of my favorite traits in the South Devons? For me, it's all the qualities you love in a Hereford. As far as they're really docile, they have a great disposition. I haven't met a wild one yet, but I would say they still have to perform. And the biggest thing that impressed me with the South Devons, and where I source my South Devons, which is Dar Guys, DLCC. His sale's coming up. There's a shameless plug. But Dar has sold bulls coast to coast and from Canada to Arizona. And so I've seen examples and have talked to references of they do great in Missouri, they do great in Arizona, they do great in Canada, they do great in the deserts of New Mexico. And so we knew that they were a really adaptable cow. We want cows that work around here, that they can make a living on their own. But the biggest thing is just the pure science behind heterosis. And I think that there's nothing better than an F1 cross with an Angus. And so, we still buy some Angus bulls. We still, if I hit the lottery one day, I'm going to buy me a potload of Montana Angus heifers, but I'm going to throw a South Devon bull on them. So that's kind of how that works. That's my point of view. We're seeing a lot of benefit to the F1 cross of the South Devon. And that's one of our main goals with the cow herd is we want to gain as much weight because we get paid by the pound. We want to gain as much weight as economical as possible, and South Devons are a lot cheaper. So I went to the sit sale this last year. You couldn't touch a bull for I think the sale average was $12,500, and that's what I paid for Jack, and he was the number one selling bull. I thought I got him at a discount. I thought I stole him. I didn't know if Dar was gonna let me buy him, but he did, thank God. And yeah, I think you don't suffer any quality. There's just pure benefits when you do the F1 cross, and no cancer eye and all the other stuff that Herefords are reputable for. I think every breed has their pros and cons, but that whole thing. 2 questions. When do I think number 4 will know what to do when she starts having her baby, or do I think number 4 will know what to do? And does anything happen if you put 2 pregnant cows in one stall and one starts to have her baby? So 2 things. And I can relate to this, but not necessarily, because I'm not a mother, but I'm a father. There's an internal switch that flips, and sometimes that switch takes a minute to flip. But I know that when I was in the delivery room and I watched my sons be born, there was something that happened to me, and it changed my whole outlook on life. I believe the same thing happens with cows. I really do. I think that they somewhat have an understanding of it, and sometimes you have a bad mom, just like you do in people. So I think for the most part, you try and breed for that as much as you can. Like I said, we only try to keep good mothers, and so she comes from a really good mom, and so hopefully that instinctive switch will flip. And if not, that's why she's in the barn, so we can help her understand it. And if she has a little bit of difficulty, we can work out the kinks of it. We can help her out just a little bit. Let me see your other. So what happens if I put 2 pregnant cows in a stall? Typically and hopefully, what I try to do is pre-sift these cows. So if I have 2 in a stall, anything that I think is absolutely going to go, they're by themselves. I do not pen them together, but I have had 2 cows in this alleyway before, and one is calved, and it's the same thing as if you have them in a pen. They're going to find their own spot, and really there's not too much room to move away from each other, but one will lay down and have one on one end of the alley, and it seems like that other cow will give them some space. But I'll tell you, though, it is a little trickier because mothers are miraculous. They know you'll have these cows and calves in a stall, and you're really worried about them getting the babies getting stepped on, and that mom will place her feet with such precision she will never step on her own calf. It's the other cows that you have to worry about. And so if it gets to the point where I think that we're going to go into labor, I stay here and we will roll one cow out and let her calve in the stall. Let the other one, we'll find somewhere else for her to go, or I'll evict her. Long story short, give them some room, because like I said, the most problems that I've seen is the fact that it's not the mom, it's the other cow that that's not paying attention because it's not their baby. So what do I think the perfect climate or state is to raise cows? I kind of really like the Midwest. I have a buddy in Iowa. Well, that's not kind of the Midwest, but I guess you could call it that. But they have a lot more access to grass than we do, and they're in corn country. Feed's a lot cheaper. There's a lot of questions that because a lot of this area, Utah, Idaho, was started by the Mormon Rebellion or the Oregon Trail, and it just blows your mind that people walked through all of that prime farmland and very productive soil to settle here in a harsher climate, not near as much rainfall, and horrible growing conditions. But I guess if you walk all the way here, you probably don't want to walk back. So somewhere back in there, I talked to a couple friends in Iowa, and they're like, "Man, I don't know how you do it." And I'm like, "I don't know. What do you mean? This is what we know, and this is kind of, this is what Kent's done his entire life, and this is all he knows." And so to hear other guys' perspective of, man, I cannot believe that you feed hay for so long and your cows aren't out on grass. It makes me scratch my head sometimes, and I think that mild temperature and good rainfall, at the end of the day, grass grows cheaper in that area, because if we have good grass, it's either mountain grass and it's very seasonal. Those guys, they have grass for a lot longer, and it's in a lot more abundance because of the rainfall and the climate. So somewhere back in there, I would say that people in the Southwest, my hat's off to them, because they run a small number of cows on a lot of country. Here we're about, on good ground, I would say you're a cow to every 4 acres seasonally for the summer. And those guys have a lot, if you're in the Southwest, you're going to find, I think I sat and shared a beer with a guy in San Antonio, Texas, a couple years ago, and he told me that he ran 200 head of cows on 15 sections of ground, which is a lot of ground, because we were talking about calving and putting them in the barn and the whole thing, and he's like, I can't watch my cows. They have to take care of themselves. And his whole thing is, cows have to migrate and follow the feed so much that they have to cover a lot of ground. And so you run a lot less cows on a lot more ground. Back east, you can run a lot more cows on a lot less ground, if that makes sense. So, but also, I've talked to a couple feed guys that they really enjoy paying a premium for Western calves. I don't know if it's because of the altitude or the climate or what, but he will take it to his deathbed that Western calves will outperform calves in his local area, and he's in Iowa. And he says, I would love to bring cows, he's a background feeder, and he says, I would much rather pay the extra money and bring cows from the West to my feedlot versus buying local calves. So there's a little bit of an advantage that way for us. Yeah, they don't get the joys of dealing with irrigation equipment for us. It's mind blowing to think that they worry about field drainage rather than how, they're trying to take water off their fields rather than put it on their fields. So Reynolds says, what do you mean when you talk about good calves or good qualities in the body? So there's a couple different things that we look for genetics wise. Big thing is we want to raise a good calf that gains a lot of weight. We want good depth of body. So good. We don't want long, skinny, wiener dog type looking calves. Something that's really lanky, has a lot of leg to them. We want them built like a brick shit house because those pay the most money. And so we look at some of these cows here. This cow here is an example. When we're selecting for females, we want room for that calf to grow. See how deep she is in her body? That's a good sign. But also you look for confirmation as far as, does she have good feet? Can she make a living? If I turn her out on the mountain, is she going to make a living by herself? Or am I going to have to nurse her along, right? Do her feet grow at a bad angle? Is she going to be crippled? Is she, as far as structurally, is she sound? Is she going to get hurt very easy? And she's built pretty good. Haven't had any maintenance issues with this cow whatsoever. She's 3 years old. I've had her for a year. Her feet look great. You can see her hip is nice and square, but it's also, we want a little bit of a hip to them. We don't want them really skinny and fine boned. If it was light outside, I'd show you a couple really bad examples. Long story short, for us, what we're focused on is the meat aspect of it, and we do not want them looking like a dairy cow. Kind of something tall, skinny, slender, because they have a completely different, dairy cows have a completely different purpose than these cows. So, yeah. And of course, I'm the damn cat. She's talkative tonight. But yeah, so when we go through, we look at calves themselves. We will pick them in mid-October. Right before we sell everything, we'll pull some of the ones we want to keep back. But for the most part, I want to look at moms and dads. So I want to know, so her calf, right, is probably going to be a keeper because I really like her. And so, like all of these South Devons that are conformationally sound, they're performing well, they're doing what they want to do, and I have no issues with them. They are going to get a different ear tag. And so we're going to be able to kind of track those calves and watch them grow, and we can judge it just on mom's and dad's performance. Like I said, this mom's put together really well, but also the father of that calf in her belly is a national champion bull out of the Denver Livestock Show. And so I know who the dad is. I invest in quality bull power. That's one thing that I think that is really underrated, is people can transform their cow herd with just bull power and making sure they have good dads to good babies. I've seen it myself. I've bought subpar cows at a deal. We put a good bull on them, and they all of a sudden their calves are great. So, like I said, that's kind of what we take into account is really good maternal instincts, really good maternal traits, sound body conformation, and at the end of the day, they're going to have a look to them. When you see those calves compared to others in the pen, they're going to stick out like a sore thumb, and you're going to say, yep, that one needs to stay here. She's going to be a mom. So, but also there's other calves that are late bloomers. Like Striper's giving us a really good side profile right there. So Striper is a heifer, and she was kept based on her attitude and her disposition. Creed's had a relationship for her ever since she was a little teeny baby. She would follow everybody around, and kind of a dad, don't you dare sell that cow type of a situation. But she was a late bloomer. She took a year. She was kind of subpar when we decided to keep her, and she's bloomed. She's all right. We're gonna keep her around. So let me see a comment here. Let's see. Is your wife's show cow still around, or does she have to go? If she went, was it hard? So I'm sure you're talking about Oreo. Oreo left. I did not know that she was my wife's show cow until I told my wife that she was gone. It was kind of one of those, we were sitting at the dinner table, and I says, yeah, we sent Oreo away today. And she said, oh my goodness gracious, I showed that cow in Denver when I was in high school. Well, she's a year younger than me, and I've been out of high school damn near 15 years. And so that cow was old. It's towards the end of the life cycle. It was time for her to go. She didn't have the traits that we wanted to fit our goals here. And so there was a multitude of different reasons why we had to get rid of her, and it was understanding, but it was kind of one of those things like an end of an era, you know. Your favorite TV show finally decides to have the finale, right? That was kind of how it was. It wasn't. I didn't end up on the shit list, thank God, but yeah, it was a touch somber. But at the same time, we try to maintain the idea, especially when you're raising kids in this atmosphere. Really, really tricky to inform them on how it works. And one of the things about it is, like, these cows have a purpose, and it's okay for us to have a relationship with these cows, and it doesn't make it any easier if you have a relationship with them. You know, it's kind of one of those things that you enjoy it while it's here, but at the same time, when it's Striper's turn to go, you know, say 10 years from now, or whenever that time comes, there will be a time, but hopefully we have some prodigy off of her. We can watch daughters grow, and if we don't, we take the money that we sell her for, and we invest that into new genetics, and we start a new story. So it's kind of the same thing of the way I tell myself to look at it is it's like a book. You know, you finish a chapter book, right? And, you know, like my kids have been watching Harry Potter. We've been kind of watching Harry Potter as a family, pick a movie once a week. Are you sad that you finished Harry Potter? You know, you sad you finished the first Harry Potter book? No. You're glad you read it. But the best part is you can now read the second book, right? And you can start a new journey or a new book. And so that's kind of how we've tried to shape raising kids in this is it's reality, and it's hard sometimes, and that's just the fact of the matter. But like Creed's very first cow he had, Kent gave him an old sorry cow. Her name was Number 6. Number 6, she it was time for her to hit the road. She's way past her prime. It was bad. Kind of one of those we should have had the conversation a little earlier, but she was bred. We let her have the calf, and And it just got to the point where she needed to go. Well, what we had to do is we had the conversation of, is it sad that number 6 has to go? Absolutely. It's sad. But that means that you can take this other money that number 6 is going to provide, right? We're going to sell her and she gets to feed somebody's family. But we're going to take that money, and that means that we can pick something that you really want. And that was number 2 in the fall herd. So we picked her up, and all of a sudden, by sending number 6 down the road, we were able to go get that other cow, and now he has 3 or 4 daughters and her that are from that cow, and he's got to kind of build his own cow herd and the magic, right? But we had to have that hard conversation. So it's a little tricky, and I'm not going to say that nobody cries, but it's it's part of life, right? One of these days they're going to send me down the road, believe it or not. So let's see here. Rufus the bull. Do I always get rid of them, or have you had one live its life out with you? Yes, but I hate that. I hate it. Because we let them live their life out, but the bad part is, so like number 6, for example, she's a great example. That cow was 14 or 15 years old when it was time for her to go. And so she lived a long, full life, and the name of the game is it's our decision as producers to decide when that time comes. And so what we want to do is we want them to live a long, happy life, but it's kind of one of those things that you talk to, like if you have a grandpa or something, he says, never let me go into a nursing home. I'd rather you just do me in. It's the same thing. I want to make that decision. I want to be able to see that future come to that cow. But my job is to say, this is the humane decision. This is the right decision. And it's time for you to go. Because if they struggle through the winter and they lay down and die, 1, they provide no income to the farm, but 2, me mentally, I have to deal with their suffering. And there's a couple times that like we've had to do that. Last year, if you guys watched, there was one night that we had an older cow, and it scares me to death because I have the same damn situation going on out here. We had a cow that slipped through the cracks. She looked good when we brought her off a summer pasture. We know that she's old, but damn it, she looks really good, and she's pregnant. She's going to have a baby. I think she can do it. I think she can stay healthy long enough to raise one more calf. Well, she hit the last, the rubber hit the road, and when she went down last year, she was on live, and this is one of the things about being transparent. Cow went down, and we were walking around doing lives, and what had happened is we took her out of the corral with the tractor. We tried to make it as comfortable as we could. We proceeded to give her a bunch of pain relieving medication and some steroids to try and get her on the mend, get her back going. But like we talked about last night in last night's live, as soon as you stick a needle in that cow, there's a withdrawal period. So she is unfit for human consumption, right? All of a sudden she is unusable. Well, it turned out that we were walking through the calving pens last year, and it was about 11 o'clock at night, and she went from doing okay but just not being able to get up, to all of a sudden she was on her last breath. And like we had to pause the live and I had to go take care of it. And I punched her ticket. It broke my heart. And it wasn't that I broke my heart for the cow because she had a long life. It broke my heart that I made the wrong judgment call thinking that she could do it again. That was my fault 100%, and that's my responsibility, and that's on my shoulders. And I had to suffer the consequences of it mentally, and it's not easy. It's definitely not easy because, like you say, you build relationships with it, and you realize that you are the lifeline to these cows. You're their caretaker. Their health is my number one responsibility, and you get a little bit of regret that you have failed that cow, that you didn't, you made her go through that, and it wasn't the fact that it was a selfish call when we made the call. It was the fact that we thought that she could do it, and we thought that we would have no problems whatsoever. And I have a cow that's sorted off in the TV pen that is the exact same way. She looked phenomenal for her age. She was bred really well. Like as far as she's on time, calf looked great, and she looked really, really good until about November, late November, early December, and she started to go downhill. And so we know that that's her last calf. And I got her penned in to a pretty confined area just to where she doesn't have to travel as much for feed and water. But and just trying to help her out. But again, there's one or two that misses and slips through the cracks, and that's on me. And so it's I guess that's one of my goals with social media, is just to, one of the reasons why I started it is to explain that it is such a complex thought process. There's 30 different factors that you're looking at when you make your day-to-day decisions, and sometimes life happens and you screw up. You do, and so that's one of the things that, we're just trying to, like the cow that's still here, we're trying to make it as comfortable as we can, and we're trying to nurse her along so she can have a baby. But, so as far as living a long lifespan, we really like to do that, especially if they have really good genetics. Want to keep them around, want them happy cows, living their best life, but in all reality, whether once they get to a certain age, once they get to 7 or 8, and you take them to a sale barn, it all ends in the same place. Nobody buys old cows to have cows. Those guys are buying them so they can put them on a dinner plate. And typically how that goes is an older cow, she will go to burger. So your McDonald's, Burger King, that type of deal. That's what supplies that is lean ground beef. And so here's another funny thing about marketing. Talked about meat marketing and kind of some certified Angus beef stuff last night. But I would say that a lot of your hamburger is grass-fed. You just don't know it. And that's because cows are older that go to burger, and you don't put corn to those. You don't get them fat. If what they call grind, if you're gonna grind them and make a burger out of them, you can't tell the difference between a grain-fed piece of burger and a grass-fed piece of burger. And so, not saying you don't get burger out of a grain-fed beef, right? Your trim goes to your grind, but for the most part, your cheaper hamburgers and stuff like that, they're all going to be from older cows that have lived their life. So a lot of that is grass fed. They just don't advertise it. Let's see. Tina remembers when that happens. Yes, Mary, they're exactly like a dog. Exactly. So how long will they live? Shoot. Like I said, gosh dang. Oreo, she was at least 15. At least. And she was in pretty good flesh. She just came up open. She wasn't pregnant. And so that was the main reason why we put her on the bus. So, Belle's 11, still going strong. You're going to see a cow that she's number 9 green tag. She's going to calve in the spring. You'll see her. She's 12 or 13. So, yeah. I don't know why. I guess it's probably with the headache, right? They're going to have somebody prove. Copeland's Farm said McDonald's should do better advertising, and I agree. But it's probably the fact of they can't guarantee that it's grass-fed, and so somebody would call them on it, and they couldn't prove it. But if you're grinding cull cows, like I said, nobody's putting corn to cull cows. They just aren't. So, but yeah. Do you guys like YouTube better, or do you like TikTok better? What are you thinking? This is kind of the first calving barn. I tagged a calf on YouTube Live the other day, the first calf we had, and that was okay. Yeah, how's it look? How's the quality of it? This is kind of our first real trial run of everything, and I don't get TikTok strikes over here. So, do you like YouTube better? I can't believe that there were so many people that came over to watch. You like YouTube way better. Okay. Perfect. Because I think the one thing about it, and I kind of had this rule until I got the strikes, of monumental stuff was going to be on YouTube this year, like pulling calves. I'm sure we'll pull a couple calves on live. And especially stuff that happens in the middle of the day, because I know that you guys have a job too. And so it would be good for, one of the biggest regrets is people would miss lives, and then they would be in the dark last year. And so it'd be really handy to be like, man, if you really want to watch this calf get born, there it is. There's the whole entirety of how it happened, and it's like you're still right there with me, and you're not playing catch up through some edited TikTok and whatever. So, yeah, notable stuff was going to be on YouTube anyway. Wasn't going to go live on TikTok for that, but yeah, I need your help building a following on YouTube, just so yeah, we get some more reach, because TikTok is obviously it's my biggest platform, and I get a lot more reach and a lot of traction on there. And I think it's just like through the lives and people flipping through, and all of a sudden they see a cow having a baby and they're like, holy cow. So if I could ask you guys for some help, just let people know that I'm on YouTube. You don't have to tell them to watch me, but just so that I'm here. But anyway, most of the cows are laid down for the night. I got a little bit of tail itching. Do you so here's some funny things that I've noticed, and I didn't notice it until because I never stayed with the cows. This is only my 4th or 5th year calving. I always used to help Kent as the son-in-law back when his brother owned half of it, but I was the roper and the guy that was borderline going to get mauled by a mother cow, and I'd go help on the weekends. But last year was the first year that I dedicated, we're going to sleep in the barn and calve some heifers, and we had a lot of money on the line. with bred heifers, and I didn't want a nightmare scenario happening. But when you live with cows, it is very, very interesting to realize their habits. And each cow's different. And so if you think about it, if you look, I'm going to take you off. I think you're charged up enough. We'll kind of do some walking around the barn for a second. So if you notice, number 4, she's going to sleep like that. That's kind of how she rolls. I do have a little bit of discharge out of her, but I don't think it's anything serious. Let me flip you here. Zoom out. Okay. Red picked up her head, but she likes to sleep with her head nuzzled against her shoulder. I swear to God, if you can't be quiet, I'm going to have to make you go stay with the dogs, barn kitty. But like Ruby's one of them. She will itch her tail, and then she's going to lay down. So what you heard them panels banging around, she's going to lay down. But she always has to itch. She's going to do that just right now. Yes, I think I will. I'll go live on TikTok for just a second, and then I'll switch to YouTube. But it's funny, cows, they all have their own little rhyme and reason on their bedtime routine. Number 4 is growing just a little bit. Just wait till we get 10K in here. That's what you guys know is Mona. She that poor girl. She is loud, and everybody knows when she gets in the barn. So, but we're super excited. If you want my guesses, I'm gonna say she's gonna calve first. She's gonna calve second. She's gonna calve third. That one could switch with this one. It's gonna be a race between Ruby, 75K here, and 111. And if I remember right, we were in the exact same position last year. It was a race to see, and I think they calved within a day of each other. But any of these could really surprise you, especially with a second calf. Once you get a second calf, they will get ready to go. So I'm anticipating this heifer right here. She definitely looks like she's going to go absolute first out of anybody in the barn. We looked at her last night. Her bag's getting a little more developed. Back end's getting a little loose. But she's a heifer. She could calve a week from now. We don't know. She's due earlier. She's due the 15th, which is tomorrow. That's when we turned the bull in. That's the goal date. So tomorrow could be due date. But I think she's going to hold on. But the first night that I don't put her in the barn, she's going to lay down in a mud puddle and have a calf. That's how it always goes. But anything that's already done it, the difference is this heifer, this is her first time, her body has to change, right? She's got to make its way through a birth canal that's never been passed before. Her body has to change. And so it takes a little time. These second calvers, they will calve. So, hey, how are you? Does it matter if the moms are dirty? The only thing I'm worried about is udders. So the fact that their fur's a little dirty, their hide, that doesn't bug me. But if you look close like that one, her teats are pretty dang clean. Biggest thing is I don't want them swimming in a pool of shit. So That'll be the biggest thing. Mary, I didn't AI anybody. But if you're talking about like the embryo transfer cows, they are due in the fall. And I want to say October 8th is their due date. So, but once they calve, if they do have dirty teats, just because of the environment that they live in outside of here, and everybody's living in a mud hole right now, we'll go ahead and wash them off when we try and get that cow to nurse. But for the most part, like 111, she's doing a great job staying clean. Like very, very clean. Would not have a problem with a calf trying to get on those. So yeah, Mary, October 8th is when those ones are going to be due. Yes. So Breezy, here's a funny thing. If you followed me during fall calving, I'm going to set you up right here in this panel, if that's all right. So one thing that we had is so bad udders. We thought it was the mud, and the mud was atrocious, and I think that there was part of it. We definitely the mud did not help. So one thing I learned through Chris Schutze and Tracer Minerals is a calf is in their first few hours of life, say the first 24 hours of life, their stomach and their system, they need to absorb all of that colostrum. And so what happens is it's like think of it as a front door to your house, okay? You'll let, as long as it can fit through the door, it's coming into the system, right? Because there's a lot of fat and essential nutrients and vitamins and all that other stuff, right? Off of the first draw or first drink of colostrum off of the mom. It's very necessary. Well, what happens is within a couple days, it's like you shut your screen door, right? So the flies can't come in. The air can still come in, but the flies and everything else can't. Calves are the same way. So after a couple days, the screen door shuts. And for us, when the calf takes a draw off of a dirty udder, they're getting feces and bacteria and a bunch of other stuff while the door is still wide open, right? Because typically once calves get on their feet and they start doing well, the first week or whatever, out for moms and they're going to do great. Well, while that calf's building their immune system and they have that front door wide open, they're very vulnerable, which if you time it right, like that's why we use Calf Proof. It's an oral paste. It's a probiotic. That's going to help them. It's going to put all of that good stuff, good bacteria in their guts when they need it. And you're not going to have the problem of it getting caught in their screen door, right? That's how it was explained to me by Chris Schutze. So that was a problem. But one thing during fall calving, we lost one calf. And it was the exact same thing that we dealt with all spring. There was a cow that the calf could not break. They'll get a plug inside of their teat. And that's the calf's job, is to get up there, and when they start sucking on it, that will break and let milk flow. Well, teats were tender. Calf tried to break it, couldn't break it, and mom was tender, and so she hit the calf. She would kick it, get away, that hurts, and then the calf quits trying to get milk. Well, do that for 2 or 3 days, the first 2 or 3 days of life with nothing to eat. Calf goes downhill. We lose the calf. I got her in the chute. Know what the hell was going on. The calf started down spiraling. Calf looked great to start with, but all of a sudden, day 2, midday, started spiraling down. We got her in the barn, and it turns out that I saw that the calf had been sucking on the teats. Teats were cleaned off, but she wasn't eating. And I could physically not break that wax plug. And I had to, thank God I had Ralph. And it took Ralph 5 minutes of working to finally break that. And he was, I don't know, about a month old. So a mature calf that knew how to suck, it was hard for him to break it. And I've consulted 4 or 5 different vets, a bunch of like mineral people and just mentors and people that know a hell of a lot more than I do. And nobody can tell me an answer on why that would happen. And I don't know what causes that or what could have caused that. There was no mud, no nothing. And that's how Ralph got a mom. And so worked out great for Ralph, but at the same time, hopefully we're not going to run into that again. We definitely did not run into that with our first calf. Did a great job. Milk bag came in, and one thing that I'm really paying attention to is even though udders might, teats might be cleaned off, I'm making sure, like today I saw something I really liked. One side of the udder was deflated. And that told me that the calf had been pulling on that udder. So, yeah. You heard Popcorn. She's such a pain in the ass. She's so loud tonight. But anyway, that's life in the calving barn. Does anybody have any final questions? Had a heifer that had a breech baby, was born dead. Is that likely to happen again? No. Sometimes that stuff just happens. I do have one cow that she had trouble twice in a row, but typically no. And especially if it's breech, that is so hard. So when she's talking about breech, it's coming backwards. And especially if it was a true breech and the legs were down, instead of, so you have your back legs. A lot of times you'll see back feet start to come out. But sometimes if they're a true breech, the legs will be down and you'll just see the tail sticking out. We've had that. And it's really, really bad. And especially what happens is, especially when you see it when they come backwards, calf still has a lifeline through the umbilical cord, through the navel, right? Well, on a typical delivery, they're coming out head first. As soon as their umbilical cord breaks or has strain, the calf's head is already out of the cow and it can start to breathe and it has oxygen. When they're coming backwards and that umbilical cord breaks, the calf has to breathe, but he will drown on his way out because his head's not out. He's coming out tail first. And so if it was me, I wouldn't knock it on the cow. It's just something that happens. It's like a bad luck deal. And it sucks that it happened, but it's hard because it's part of it. It'll happen. And that's the tricky thing is you got to take the good with the bad sometimes. But yeah. Anyway, Striper thinks that she's a goat. She wants to eat the wood. Come here, kitty. I'm sick of listening to you. But anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. Have a good, is it Friday? Yeah, Friday night. And have a good Friday. Thanks for coming over to YouTube. And we'll see you tomorrow. We're going to be a little earlier on the live. Like I said, headed to Salt Lake for the night. So you'll see me. We're not going to throw off schedule too much, but we're just going to tuck heifers into the barn a little bit earlier. And thanks, guys. I appreciate it. And we'll see you tomorrow. hopefully well, not hopefully, it will happen. One of these days you're gonna get on a live and you're gonna be like, holy shit, this kid, all this kid does is pick up baby calves because they'll start dropping. But like I said, we're a touch early for the due date. We're dealing with bad weather. That's why we're putting cows in the barn. But it also gives us a little bit more time to bullshit about kind of some behind the scenes type stuff. So anyway, thanks again, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow.